live, streaming talk shows and podcasts, Spider-Man No Way Home Spoilercast.
Hello?
Just doing the intro.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gamer's Ledge. I'm one of your hosts, Mark, and joining me today is, of course, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello there.
And also joining us is Dave. Hello, Dave.
That scared me. That was loud. That was very loud.
Yeah, you deserved it. And also joining us was Joe. Hi, Yakamoto Joe.
How's it going? Friendly neighborhood Joe.
So we are here to talk about and do a spoiler cast for Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the latest Marvel movie. And I can't state enough, if you have not watched the movie, as much as we would love to see you in the chat, Killer Dragon and Mafia6869, if you've not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, don't do it to yourself. Don't spoil it, because from here on out, it will be spoilers. I'm gonna give like a countdown, and then we're gonna get right into it. So
Wait, I didn't see it yet.
And kick.
No.
So in 5, 4, you've been warned. 1. Spoilers. So let's get into it. We get Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, the Lizard, as well as Tobey Maguire, Youth Pastor Spidey, Andrew Garfield, I don't pull my punches anymore, I've been very angry, Spidey, and Tom Holland, I've been a part of the Avengers into Space, Spidey, in one movie.
Yep.
That about covers it.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
That's
No,
we're done.
No, seriously, I think where I think we should start by talking about this is how they did a great job on not giving us the movie we thought we were getting from the trailers, and how much darker it actually was in some ways, and much more of a healing movie in other ways.
Okay, all right. Because when we were talking about this on the podcast the other day, you're like, "It's not the movie we were expecting." I went in, that was kind of the movie I was expecting. I wasn't sure what you meant by that, but when you say a healing movie, I get it. That makes sense.
Well,
okay.
The trailer made it look like it was going to be really weak on bringing in all the kind of stuff. It's just like, what, Strange was just an idiot all of a sudden, but they did a good job leaving out all the detail that brought that in, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, to kind of like go back and do like a real review of the movie that we couldn't do on Friday. This movie does what very few sequels can ever get right. So a lot of your superhero movies, like any of the Batmans after like Batman Returns, any Superman movie, any sequel in general, there's the law of doubling. It's like, oh, well, we had this one first movie that was like, it was this one villain, one hero, they go at it. Ooh, awesome. And then the next movie, it's like, well, if we could do 1, we could do 2. Or we could do 3, and then in terms of like Spider-Man 3, it was like, oh, hey, let's put in 7 or 8 people. What the hey? Whereas this, they managed to bring in all of the, the villains from, all the Spider-Man movies. And it's so amazing that every single one of them gets their own time to shine. Everybody gets a couple minutes. I had read reviews early on that people were saying, Jamie Foxx was like left out of the movie or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He had a great arc. It was fantastic. Everyone got a couple of minutes. Nobody hogged the limelight too much. I mean, everyone's like, oh man, Willem Dafoe is now one of the best villains ever. I mean, he was good when he was Green Goblin before, but does this make it any better? It's debatable.
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the criticisms that they listen to, right? You have an actor his caliber with the facials he does, and you put him behind a rigid mask, and that's the first thing they did with him was break that
mask
off, get that off, and
that was cathartic.
Well,
it really was.
And I mean, when you see him during that fight scene in the building, and Peter is punching him in the face, and he smiles at him, that is like the way more scary than anything he did in that first movie. Like, that really gets to the point that this guy's effed in the head and he's going to murder you.
Yeah, it reminded me of a lot of like the Joker in Batman, kind of, where he was just like, hey, I don't care, punch me. I'm in for it. I like the torture.
I've heard a lot of people say that actually that his performance had Heath Ledger vibes to it.
100%.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
It seems very parallel, but still good in his own right? It's not like he was copying or anything. It's just kind of a parallel you could easily draw.
Well, the thing is that should have been the performance. That would have been the performance we got the first time if they didn't have that stupid mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Willem Dafoe, like, that's what he does. I mean, he's great at that, and he's got such a great face for, being a villain and everything like that. And he's such a good actor as it is. That goes down in movie history as one of the most confusing decisions ever made. All they had to do was just paint his face green and give him a hat, and it would have been
what
terrifying.
they did in this one. I mean, when he put that hood over him, I'm just like, oh, you guys, that's phenomenal. I mean, I was just like, it was great. I was just like, man,
he had pouches and bandoliers. And, it was.
So the other thing that since we're here and we're talking about his fight scene, it's easy to forget that we never had an origin story for Tom Holland as Peter Parker. And we got our Uncle Ben moment with Aunt May.
Sons of bitches.
And I did not see it coming, but as soon as she got hit by the glider, I'm like, nope, that's no bueno. You're not getting back up from that.
Yeah, when she said the line, I was like,
oh no.
Oh, I hate those people. Like, I'm gonna be filling up on this one.
Which makes me kind of curious about some more of his backstory, because I mean, we actually just basically found out in this movie, all three movies are Spider-Man origin story. Really, is what it boils down to, right? Is for the classic, at least.
For sure, yeah. I mean, because this picks up right now where, I mean, this would be where Spider-Man starts basically now. So
yeah, it's and was Ben ever in the picture? I mean.
It doesn't seem like it.
How did Peter end up with? I mean, Ben and Richard were brothers, right? That's how he ended up with them in every other reality where Peter ends up with them. It's like, so
we've never mentioned Peter's parents at all, to my knowledge.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, did she just randomly adopt this child? I mean, what? Yeah, I have no idea. I'm super curious now about like, what is the further backstory there, which I don't think they'll ever go back and explore, which is fine, but it has me very curious.
It gives them plenty of room to work with.
Oh yeah.
Well, this gives me like vibes like the and for more reasons than one, but it gives me a lot of the same vibes that the PlayStation Spider-Man game gave me, because like with the PlayStation Spider-Man game, they were allowed to kind of pick and choose from the Spider-Man universe anything they want, and it took 3 movies for them to get there. But by the time they get done with this movie, you're just like, oh my god, they're taking like all of these things from all over the Spider-Verse and dropping it into this movie to kind of give you this cobbled together origin story like you guys are talking about. But yeah, it's pretty good. Good.
I do. And Joe, to your point that you made earlier, I think the writing was phenomenal, that it did give not just the villains their moments and time to breathe and almost get reacquainted with them, but also the 3 Spider-Men. Even though, and this kind of ties into what your biggest criticism is that I also felt in the theater, and I agree with, is that this is really the first Marvel movie beyond Endgame and Infinity War that if you've not watched the other Spider-Man movies, you could theoretically be a little lost.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, they somehow managed to pull out of it in Endgame, but for that phase. But with us getting into the multiverse now and everything, and them going full bore on the TV shows and everything, I mean, like, so like, I mean, I don't know if we're necessarily spoiling other things, but I mean, the Matt Murdock thing. I mean, if you didn't watch something else literally the day before, or whatever, it doesn't pay off as well as if you had. I mean, because there's all this other stuff going on in another show, and so it's just like, you get more out of it. If you just go see the Marvel movies, it's like, oh, well, you didn't catch Loki, or you didn't catch all this other stuff. Oh, well, you're missing out. You're missing out on so much other stuff, but
Also, I'm a really good lawyer. That was a brilliant line. That was.
I mean, I hate to say it, but they got Daredevil more over in the 90 seconds he was on screen in this movie than they did the entire Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck.
Oh, I was ready to say, if you're talking about the TV series, dude, just shut up now.
No.
Which coincidentally, what's his face was Happy Hogan in the Ben Affleck one.
Yes, he was.
John, whatever. Happy Hogan.
Yeah.
Happy.
Favreau was happy in the Ben Affleck movie.
Yes.
Holy crap! I gotta go watch that again. Wow.
Yeah, and so there's a whole Favreau verse now that we gotta work around.
Wait, I totally forgot that Favreau was in the Ben Affleck one.
Well, that's because he was half the size he is now. I mean, I saw a clip of it and I'm like, holy crap, that can't be Jon Favreau. He weighs 180 in that movie. I'm just like, there's no way that's Jon Favreau.
Well, I just watched my wife and I watched 4 Christmases.
Yeah.
We're watching some different Christmas movies. And in that one, Favreau played the brother of what's his face? Oh my God, the super tall guy. It's real funny in movies. He was the lead in it. Wedding Crashers, that guy.
Oh, Vince.
Oh, Vince Vaughn. Yeah.
So Vince Vaughn was the lead in the movie. Favreau played one of his brothers that they met up with, one of the things. And he was like an MMA fighter in that, and was beating up Vince Vaughn every chance he got in the movie. And he was it was like a ripped Favreau. It was very weird.
Wow. I saw I was rewatching Sopranos a couple of months back.
Yes.
And he pops up in there. I'm like, holy crap, that's not Jon Favreau. He looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah. Because he was.
Yeah, I forget how long ago that show was.
Yeah, it wasn't quite Swingers Favreau, but it was.
So beyond the deep dive on Favreau that we just did.
Right, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. The thing I do want to talk about, which I really like.
Wait. Before we go back to that, damn it, Favreau, for making me cry again in a Marvel movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn him to hell.
I mean, there were at least 3 different times that you could have. Just from his performance in this.
Yeah.
But I think that ties in really well to the redemption arcs for every character in this movie. Every character had a redemption arc. Every single one of them, including Ned and MJ in their own ways, although not as great. But Ned coming into his own with magic, and then
that'll be interesting to see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. I mean, if they start including him in.
Now that it's reset, I don't think it is. I mean, I don't think there is anything to do there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know who remembers what, right? I mean, because it's very weird what they could or could not remember. I mean, in theory, Strange at the very least should remember.
Strange shouldn't. No one remembers. Who Peter
all
Parker
the interactions with Spider-Man are still intact.
Correct.
So depending on how selective the memory splicing is, if he remembers this Ned kid who was associated with this thing that happened with Spider-Man, not that he was associated with Spider-Man, but associated with the thing that happened with Spider-Man, could potentially remember.
I don't think we need to go too much into weeds on this one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Weeds.
Because apparently this spell changes newspapers.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about this stuff.
Basically, what I'm saying is they could do whatever they want because magic.
Well, yeah, but I think we'll actually find out weeds when we get to the Doctor Strange movie. But I very much appreciated. I think I was fully on the Peter train when he's just like, it's not my problem. Push the button, send him back. And after a minute, I'm like, oh no, you know what? May's right. we should at least try, right? There's a difference between trying and failing because they all turn out to actually be evil than not trying at all.
Although dragging 5 supervillains to your penthouse apartment,
It's probably not the best idea. Yeah.
Way to go about it.
Yeah, probably not the best idea. But, whatever. As Strange pointed out, I forget you're a kid. You didn't even think to talk to somebody at the admissions board.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was really good.
But I think that was necessary, right? I think that had to happen that way to remind everyone that he is still like 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because even the folks who've been watching the first 2 movies, that came out over what, 5 years?
Maybe more?
Possibly.
Ish.
So, I mean, I think it's good to remind people that at this time of the movie, he's still only 17, and that was a great way to do it. And
then having him go back to high school too, because it's just like,
right.
yeah, it's
right, which
he hasn't graduated yet.
Yeah, but I really liked the redemption arc for every character. I mean, the one that probably got the least window dressing was Lizard, and sure, fine, you just got to revert him back to human form, whatever.
I mean, I know at the end there he turned back into Connors or whatever, but I mean, he was in it so little. I don't even think that was him. I think they used like old footage.
I mean,
was it really him?
He was, because this was actually something that I was looking at, and I'm like, is that recycled footage of Sandman? Because some of and this is actually my next point. From an editing and FX standpoint, they did a good job of not making it confusing, but not all those effects were great.
Right.
And it almost made me think that they used previous effects of Sandman for this. And I started to question whether it was reused footage or not, but everyone was listed as actually having a performance in the credits.
Sure.
I mean, is it reused footage and they just credit him? I don't know. But I kind of did wonder that as well, especially for his section, because it kind of looked like reused footage, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was kind of tough.
If they reuse footage, they still credit the people. I mean, I've seen that in previous movies, in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he had a talking part. I mean, there were original lines in there, right? So unless they digitized his voice
or did they just
sample
footage from previous movies?
I think they could have done either or. I mean, honestly, because he had so few lines. I mean, and his lines were usually maybe 1, maybe 2 sentences at a time. So I'm because I mean, there wasn't really whatever. I mean, it's a minor gripe. I mean, we're really picking it.
It's super nitpicky. Like, it's the same thing about the effects, right? My point actually from putting this bullet point in was you had 3 Spider-Men. It could be really confusing to have them all going at once, telling who is who, fighting against 5 people at once. And I thought they did a great job from the editing standpoint of making it fairly clear to follow the fight scenes and the sequences. Right. Even as they're tossing things from one Spider-Man to another one, et cetera, et cetera.
So let me ask you guys this: what's everyone's favorite part of the movie? What was your favorite thing?
I'll start. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saving MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was they did that perfectly. They did it
years.
Totally.
Yeah.
So first of all, I would actually consider myself a decent Andrew Garfield fan.
Sure.
Like, I think he's really a great actor. I just watched him in Tick Tick Boom.
How was that, by the way?
Oh, it's fantastic. If you like movies like
I need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. He's amazing in it. And it was even better that so apparently the story of him getting the role was somebody talked to him and does he have a musical background? And his buddy was like, oh yeah, he's totally got a musical background. He does not have a musical background.
No, and he told Lin-Manuel Miranda, I do not have a musical background. And so then they had to figure it out.
And but he killed it, and he was awesome and everything. And it just it made me mad again. It's just like, you got a raw deal with his Spider-Man movies because kind of weak scripts on them. But the thing about his movies, he was awesome.
Right.
So going with the whole redemption theme, I really love that as like the redemption of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because he was so good in it and he is such a good actor, and just he got everything out of that scene. It didn't take a ton. There wasn't a lot of dialogue in it. It was just like him acting awesome. Zendaya was, great. It was, it was just a perfect little scene.
Yeah. And I mean, you knew it was almost kind of, they telegraphed the scene almost, because as soon as MJ fell off, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I know what's going down. But the way that when he grabbed her, and you're like, okay, that's totally but by the time he hit the ground and he was bawling his eyes out because he knew that he finally saved MJ.
Yeah.
You're just like, I was sitting there crying right with him. I'm just like, oh, damn you so hard. I'm just like, I just wanted to hug him. I just wanted to reach to the screen and hug Andrew Garfield.
The only thing it made me want is that, because there's like, I think you could say there's constants in the Spider-Verse. You could say there's got to be a, with great great power comes great responsibility moment, all that kind of stuff. I was kind of hoping you'd see like him go back and run into his MJ finally. Like, I think that would have been just like an amazing.
See, you say that, but I honestly would be surprised at this point with the reception to this movie if they don't make an Amazing Spider-Man 3. I actually think they will. And possibly
that would be interesting.
And possibly a Spider-Man 4. And maybe
they've said that Tom Holland's like ready. They've got him in the chamber to.
I'm sorry.
He means Tobey Maguire,
Spider-Man 4.
They won't.
I don't think they will for that. But
I mean,
they could go the other way.
If Sony is nothing else, they are all about their brand synergy, and there is no way they would take away the mind share from Tom Holland and start divvying it up. Now, if they did a live action Spider-Verse movie, absolutely, I could see that happening, but I don't know. I would be interested to see those three Spider-Men in the Spider-Verse animated thing. That would be cool. I'd be down with that, but I don't know.
So I didn't answer my favorite. My favorite was an Easter egg that I actually was explaining to Matt on the phone earlier today. And it was simply the scene where Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are talking, and Tobey asks Andrew if he wants him to crack his back.
Yeah, that's kind of a deep cut.
It's a super deep cut, because if you aren't aware, basically Tobey Maguire almost had his back broken filming Seabiscuit right before he did Spider-Man 2, I think it was. And he had to have somebody on the set constantly cracking his back and helping him to do the action sequences and stuff. And so I thought that was a super funny deep cut. And it's like one of those things that why would anybody remember that? But they put it in anyways, and I thought it was hilarious.
I think my favorite scene, or my favorite thing about the movie, is also probably my biggest complaint about the movie as well. So like, my favorite thing about the movie is just, I mean, it was rumored for the longest time, but having all three of the Spider-Men come together, I mean, we all kind of figured that was going to happen. The reveal was great. I mean, the theater that I was in, every time, I mean, once Andrew Garfield came in, the crowd popped so hard. I mean, it was like we were at like at wrestling or something like that. And then, even though we were like, oh, well, if we're getting Andrew, we're getting Tobey, and sure as heck, when Tobey came in, crowd popped again, and it was just this, every time something happened. And then Matt Murdock as well. When Matt Murdock came in, crowd went wild. And so the chemistry of those three, just bouncing stuff off of each other, felt so natural. I mean, it felt like it was like three buds that had been friends forever, and they finally got to act in a movie together or something like that. And and just it almost felt like the whole all of their scenes together, it almost felt like they were improvised. They were just making stuff up. It's like, hey, blah blah blah. But then that also leads into like the scene that I disliked or the thing that I disliked the most. The scene, I mean, I'm sure you guys would probably disagree with me because I know everyone that I've talked to is like,
if you say what I think you're gonna say, you're insane. You're insane.
I'm gonna. But my least favorite scene in the movie is when they are about ready to fight all of these villains. They're all on the Statue of Liberty, and they're like, hold on a second. Let's chat for about 5 minutes. And they just sit there and they chat. There's like all this impending doom. And it's just like, what else comes out of it? Do you have webs come out of everywhere? You know, it's just like, guys, this is like big. You know, this is like, I mean, why couldn't you guys done this in the lab or something like that? If they would have moved that entire scene where they're like riffing on each other and just shooting the stuff together. It's just like, this could have been done anywhere else. It just felt like it was in the wrong spot. I mean, it was a great scene and I laughed and everything, but afterwards I'm like, that's really weird where they put that scene. I was like, you could put that anywhere.
I'm going to disagree with you on one point that I'm
that's fine. Everyone else has
slightly
too.
uniquely pre-battle jitters.
Marcus Devil May Cry. Thank you for the follow. You're a rock star. Sorry, go ahead.
Pre-battle jitters are a thing. And babbling is totally a thing that happens with pre-battle jitters. I mean,
I know we all get them.
And also, I think they explained that fairly well by saying with that whole scene where I've never been on a team. Oh,
that's fair.
I've been on a team. So like, you know,
what's an Avenger?
Yeah, it's really. Are you in a band? It's really easy to like. Yes, nitpick it from outside, but I think if you were in the moment, their goal was to get the things done at the lab and then zip as quick as they could over to the Statue of Liberty.
And so it was dead time.
Again, you know, my complaints about this movie. I mean, I know I'm the guy on the team that hates everything, but I mean, I really like.
Your name isn't Ian. You're fine.
No. But I know I'm the cranky guy that's like, I hate things that people like. But I know I genuinely really, really love this movie. And so, I mean, I'm nitpicking. I mean, am I going to watch the movie 100 times? Absolutely. I'm going to watch this as many times as I can. But yeah, I mean, just like, it felt like it was like put in a weird spot. But otherwise, you know, I mean, I could watch them just like Spider-Man in cars with coffee. You know, I could watch that for... Man, give me 24 episodes of that. I mean, I could just listen to those guys talk about nothing forever. I mean, it's insane.
Matt, what was your favorite part of the movie?
It's cheating to say the movie, right?
Yes, it's very much so.
I don't know. For Matt being the resident,
resident, I will add 7 answers to my one answer. Yes,
No, I'm saying being the resident, I would say, Matt's the webhead, and he's also like, I don't think anyone has come close to his encyclopedic knowledge of Spider-Man.
I have the knowledge, just not the love.
And that's what's key to Matt. Matt has the love. So
I mean,
but I love this. Does that count?
And that totally counts. And I don't. Okay, it takes 2 scenes. A bunch of stuff happens in between them, but it's the combination of the death of Aunt May or May and the not killing of Norman. Because those 2 things together make him Spider-Man for realsies. Right.
I would piggyback on that, and I would say, like, if I was going for a scene, the scene on the rooftop after May dies, where they're all realizing
those heart to hearts and everything. Oh,
and this was actually a conversation. I'm trying to remember who I had it with, because say what you will, from an objective standpoint, they fridged May to move Peter forward, and I think it works in this context. Because,
that is probably Holland's best scene I've ever seen.
Exactly.
That was just brutal.
The essence of Spider-Man is that loss, whether it's Ben or May or his parents or whatever, or all of it.
whatever.
MJ, Gwen, any and all of it.
There's got to be loss.
There has to be loss to have Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so, I on the one hand, I get the point of, they're using the trope of fridging again. But on the other hand, that is the essence of the character. And so I think you have to tell that story. And I think they did it in the best possible way. And it changed, and you could see that it changed this version of Spider-Man forever moving forward. He is going to do whatever it takes to live up to May's standards of being a hero, no matter what. And I think
it wasn't a random crime thing too, which is the thing with Ben that's always kind of been, okay, it's a random crime thing, right? But I mean, she died protecting her child, right? I mean, or at least attempting to, right? I mean, it was a parental active thing that she was doing. And I think that just makes it all the more, because in every way he should have been protecting her, right? But yet that parental drive to protect your kid regardless of things just made that scene just that much more, blah.
So let's talk about the first post-credit scene, which is the greatest FU in the history of cinema from Marvel to Sony.
Okay, so I want to talk about what we were talking about the other day, you and I. So for you guys, I'm confused. I was confused. I mean, Mark set me straight and everything. But so in my eyes, I mean, Venom's always been like on the West Coast. And so in my eyes, the whole Sony verse or whatever, the Sony Spider Verse was always it was like, oh, there's stuff going on in California. It's not that big of a deal. It's whatever. And so I was a little confused by the whole ending sequence. I was just like, okay, I remember in Venom, at the end of Venom, he blinks out and he pops up on the beach or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And so that's where this picks up. And then he blinks out and, the goop drops on the thing. I was just like, well, I just figured he was in the same universe anyway. And so I was like really confused. I'm like, why does that even matter? I guess I don't understand. And so that's where I was like, that whole sequence just made no sense to me, because I'm like, and then the other thing is, so Morbius,
which we still don't know. We still don't know what universe he's in.
But can we go back for a second?
Yeah.
Because I have a question. Did you pay money to see Venom?
No.
The post sequence scene was leaked online very quickly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I
I just want to illustrate that in my theater, it was very much like Joe's. When Matt Murdock showed up, the entire place erupted. When any villain appeared, the entire place lost their minds. When Andrew Garfield came in, it was like, and I'm not exaggerating this, it was like a thunder, like a rolling thunder that started at the front of the movie theater and rolled to the back of people murmuring and then exploding into cheers. It was crazy. And throughout, when the three of them started swinging, the entire place exploded. It was nuts in my theater. It was completely full theater except for the seat next to me. I was the only one social distanced, and it was kind of terrifying on that front. But the point that I wanted to make is this crowd had no problems cheering for whatever they wanted. That first post-credit scene came on, Venom sitting there at the bar, crickets. You could hear a pin drop in that theater. But as soon as he blinked out and the goose started moving, the whole place exploded into thunder.
So here's what I don't get. You keep on calling it an FU, and that's okay. But it doesn't make any difference because Venom is still a Marvel property, and so, or a Sony property, and so I mean, I guess I don't understand how that's a big FU when Sony still has control over the product.
But basically, they gave them their sixth for a Sinister Six, and instead of using him, they had him sit at a bar in Cancun the whole time.
Well, that's one aspect of it. The second one is oh, here's your crappy Venom that we don't want to use. Let's take what we want, which is the symbiote, and get him the hell out of here.
Yeah, but Sony still has control over that. I mean, there's still going to be Marvel and Disney synergy.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Sony and Disney synergy.
Absolutely. But they can create their own Venom the way they want now. They don't
Sony's
have
blessing. Unless they have like wacky mustache Venom or something that doesn't exist or something. I mean, they can do their own as long as it. But I mean, Sony.
I think Sony owns symbiote.
So,
I think so. Even if they do like a
I'm not saying that's not the case. But my point is that rather than use the character that's already been established and is lame, they are going to continue to pay Sony to use the character the way they want to do it. And that's a huge FU. Like, they could have just said, oh, we're bringing Venom into the MC. No, bring Venom in. We want the symbiote. Good. Get him out of here. Sony cries all the way to the bank as they do it because they're, Marvel's still paying the production costs for the movie and the marketing, and Sony's getting a cut of the $267 million that it made this weekend. But still, it's like, we're not going to.
But I mean, the Venom franchise is, for whatever reason, is super, super lucrative. I mean, it makes that Venom even though we're not crazy about it, the rest of the world, for whatever reason, freaking loves that Venom.
And Sony can still make those movies and do that, and we'll have in the MCU the real horror Venom that we should have had in the first place.
Oh, no, we will not.
Oh, I bet we will.
Disney will never let that happen. You will never see an R-rated Venom movie. None of that.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't
have to be R. Yeah, they could do
the original.
PG-13.
In the comics, I mean, they were tame. For the most part when they came out, there was a lot of it was implied.
Sure.
But it was just like, the face and the the way it looked and everything like that. But just like the the tone of it. So like if we can get the thing latching on to Spider-Man and then getting angry that he rejected him and everything like that, like if we get that story and then it becomes like a proper Venom, totally happy with that. And then by then you even have Reed Richards helping him out.
Yeah,
God, I wish that should have happened already. I wish that would have already happened.
And by then, who knows? Maybe Marvel have just bought Sony at that point. I mean, Disney will have bought Sony, and then we won't have to worry about this crap anymore.
Well, but my original point though was the whole deal with, so like the Morbius trailer's out right now, and the Morbius trailer mentions Venom by name.
Yep.
But it also has Toombs in it. Vulture, who exists in the Marvel
Michael Keaton at least.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's also got a Spider-Man poster with criminal spray painted across it too.
And it also has a Tobey Maguire Daily Bugle newspaper in it.
And so
it's like,
where does this?
I have a feeling this is Sony's attempt to do the same thing Marvel does with their trailers to throw people off. And there's
a lot of throwing off.
Yeah.
Or not paying attention. Let's not put it past Sony to not pay attention.
To just not care, right?
It's they're like, this is going to make money. Who cares?
Doesn't even matter.
But it at least looks good.
1 second. A10,
except for that.
A10 and Lana Ray, welcome to the channel. We're in the middle of a spoiler cast, so if you don't want to be spoiled on Spider-Man No Way Home, as much as we'd love to have you here, you should probably go. Just FYI. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, but it was just like, what was my thought? We were talking about Morbius and Sony not paying attention.
That looks good. And you said,
I was all in on that trailer. And then when he mentioned that at the end, I'm like, nah, I'm out.
the bad joke, but it's still better than any bad joke that was in any of the Venom trailers. So,
oh God, man, they were off.
So let's talk about post-credit scene.
Teaser?
Trailer?
The trailer. It's basically a trailer.
Number 2. It was a trailer. Yeah. That was an entire trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I think the plus out of it is that we know that Wanda is going to be on the good guy side and not the source of the problems, which has been the question. But then we also know, and this was interesting to me, I kind of asked the people that were sitting in front and behind me if they had watched What If afterwards, and all of them but one person said no.
Yeah.
And so,
and that's like going back to what we were talking about, is like, well, that's pretty important. You should if you're going to go see this movie, you should probably watch What If.
And that's what I told them. I'm like, you should really watch What If to understand who that was, because it's pretty cool. But I'm so stoked that we're actually getting it. They didn't have to do that, and I'm kind of glad they did.
Which I assume means we're also getting an in-movie Uatu.
I really hope so.
Maybe. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure they're going to take bits and pieces from it, and the whole thing about, Wanda being on the good side, she could start on the good side, and
she could, but I don't think she will.
We could see another Wanda.
True. No, but they've already, no, I think with her series, they've already established that she is the one nexus of the entire multiverse of Wandas.
Oh yeah, but there could be zombie Wanda showing up. I mean, who knows if they're going there?
That's true.
Just like, oh yeah, you need to handle that.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be really weird to see where this phase goes. I mean, how long it is, what the arcs are going to be. I mean, because between the TV shows and the movies now, I mean, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's in there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that reason is yet. I'm assuming all these people are somehow, with all this multiversy stuff.
I mean, we don't have an Avengers right now, as far as we know.
That's kind of what I'm waiting for. I mean, because on the TV shows, they're essentially assembling the new Avengers, more or less. They're not called the new Avengers. What are they? The
Young Avengers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with all this stuff that they're doing in the background and the TV stuff, because the TV shows right now, there's a lot of big stuff happening, but apparently it's not as big as the multiverse cracking open.
Well, I mean, are we even, I'm actually confused from a standpoint of who is the BBEG for this phase. Is it Kang? Is it, Kingpin? Is it someone else? Who is the big bad? And that's not really clear.
Right. I think you need to slow your roll with Kingpin being the big cosmic bad, but
is it cosmic this go round? I mean, with the Defenders technically sort of coming back, maybe it's not cosmic.
Okay.
And they're just setting that up for later.
Don't say that, because I don't want to see Iron Fist ever again.
I mean, they have Shang-Chi now, so maybe they'll retcon that. So I want to know Easter eggs that everybody saw. I already talked about backcracking one, the Spidey meme, obviously, with Peter, with Ned saying Peter in the lab, and they're all pointing at each other, which was hilarious.
And then that was also in the credit scene too, during the animated part, there were two of them pointing at each other.
Yeah. Ned saying, "I'm never going to turn into a bad guy and try to kill you," which I didn't even realize that his last name was Leeds until Daniel mentioned it to me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Hobgoblin. That's amazing. And speaking of amazing, you're amazing.
Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. that was cheesy, but
no, it was not. It was nice because
fine.
At the same time, it's like he gets so much guff for his Spider-Man movies. I kind of liked it that they were like, "No, you're amazing."
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, they really, it was like they were. I don't know. It almost felt like it was like too much, it was like, because like a lot of when Marvel does their Easter eggs and stuff, a lot of that stuff, I mean, it's hidden like in the back of the scene behind some bushes, covered by a shroud, and you're like, hey, what's behind that shroud back there? Oh, it's an Easter egg. Oh, hooray. But this was just like, no, you're amazing. I mean, you might as well just been like pointing at the screen, It's just like, no, you're amazing. You get what we're doing? You're amazing.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that scene. It was.
Let's put it this way: even my wife got it, so he's got a point.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Did anyone notice any other Easter eggs?
Oh gosh,
There's
I'm
a
sure I did
million
at the
billion of them.
time.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but I was trying to think of.
Rogers the musical was in there.
Was
at
it?
the very beginning? Yeah.
I did not see
there
that.
was a sign for it.
When him and MJ were swinging through New York City to escape the press, there were like little Rogers the musical posters all over the place. Yeah, it was pretty. That was pretty good.
I mean, Jamie Foxx basically, saying "I thought you were black." That I thought that was kind of a nod to Miles in a way.
For 100%. No, that was
there's got to be a
100%
black
Miles,
Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought we were totally going to get a Miles in a Stinger somewhere, and after.
Yeah, I was for sure. I for sure thought what's his face was going to show up. What's his face from Community?
Danny Glover.
Yeah, Danny Glover.
Not Danny Glover.
Or not Danny Glover.
I do that all the time.
Donald Glover.
Donald
Glover. Yeah. I thought for sure Donald Glover was going to pop up because they.
He's been in there. Yeah.
He's been in there.
Yeah, he was in there. Yeah,
he's Prowler. I mean, is the character that if he would have been, it would have been Prowler. But Miles is obviously. I have a nephew who lives in this town. That kind of thing. That was the non-Easter egg, right? I mean, I really expected there to be some other Spider person show up. I didn't. I expected there to be maybe even just like
Nick Cage.
Quick
yes, I was 100%. Well, so and I guess we have to check the tape, but so when the rifts were opening up, there were people falling out of it.
There was a Craven. I saw the Craven.
I saw Rhino. But there are other on the internet. People are just like, "Oh yeah, I totally saw like Spider."
Matt, you said you saw a Spider Slayer, right?
Yeah, I thought. Well, it looked like a Spider Slayer, some sort of thing that looked like a Spider Slayer. But yeah, I mean, there was a ton of stuff. I mean, once I get the disc, I'll be sitting there, paused, going through every silhouette. But
the Millennium Falcon's probably in there, they threw
all
that stuff in there. Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a lot of opportunities there, but I really thought that all of a sudden I was surprised they didn't take a chance to bring a female Spider person in, whether it be
Spider-Gwen
or Julia or Jessica or even Mayday or Maddie or any
Golden Oldie
females. And we're not quite ready for that yet.
Maybe in the Fantastic Four movie.
Maybe. But it just Spider-Ham would have been a bit much, but do something crazy.
All I can say is Pip the Troll at the end of Eternals. Spider-Ham would work just as well.
Can I tell you one time I swore they were kind of like slurring the last name Parker, and I thought that you were going to see a Peter Porker portal show up, because it sounded like they were saying Parker a little bit weird at the one point when they started doing that. And I was just like, are they trying to like accidentally get Peter Porker into this? I would have been dying if that happened. Like they would just like turn around like, well, that ain't him, and close it.
Shut the portal quick. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's an Easter egg or not, but was it just me, or when up on the rooftop up there when they were like where he was hiding out, not
you heard the click click click?
No, what was that?
Saint Nick?
No, done with you. No,
so much we don't have time for that.
No, Ditko.
Matt, he didn't think that.
Bad Ditko, spray painted on the back. The Mike Ditko, isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was there or not. I thought that's what I saw. I'm just like,
he probably did. They do that in every single one of those movies. Like there's always like people's names spray painted,
You mean Steve Ditko?
Steve, I knew it.
Steve Ditko, yes, thank you.
Mike Ditko.
Okay,
I was like, it was bugging me, and I'm like, spinning.
I started looking it up. I'm like,
you started going
Mike Ditka.
Yeah, coach of the
Yeah.
I was gonna let you go and not call it, but Mark can't let that stuff go.
If there was a Ditko in there, I wonder if there's like a Gil Kane or any of the other stuff that's buried in there, because I would be surprised if not.
I did.
It's on the other side of the roof. It's G Kane.
Oh.
I didn't know about the G.
Oh,
I didn't recognize the G Kane one. I knew Ditko, but I didn't recognize G Kane. I was just like, well, if Ditko's on there, then this G Kane must be somebody.
I felt the lack of a Stan Lee cameo in this movie. Like, I kept on thinking, my brain kept on saying, oh, he's going to be, oh no, he's dead. Oh, he's going to get, oh no.
Or maybe they held a special one just for this.
Right. Yeah. Somehow they held some footage or something, you know, but yeah, no.
I know it's in the, I think it's in the comics, but I know specifically in the game, Aunt May working for Feast.
Yeah.
That's kind of an Easter egg, I suppose. I mean, I don't know, because that had never been established.
What did you say?
Aunt May, she works for Feast in this movie.
She did in the second one too. That's what he was doing the fundraiser for at the beginning was for the shelter.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean that is one that I'm not entirely sure of, but the final suit, because he goes through like 8 of them in this movie, is very similar to the Marvel Spider-Man suit from the video game.
Well, and he even does didn't
he did he does.
He did a couple of the moves.
Did a couple of the moves from the video game in the fight scene. With Norman Osborn at the very end. I noticed that. But
and the puddles. There's so many puddles, and they look like
there was a whole ocean.
So many puddles.
Can we also talk about how badass damage control seems to be?
Oh yeah, the Department of Damage Control. Wow.
Like I like that that's showing up, and they apparently got some teeth.
I mean, we haven't seen them since the beginning, very, very, very beginning of Homecoming, right? I mean, they shut down Tomb's operation, and that's what set that all into motion. But I don't think we've seen them since.
Yeah, there hasn't been. I thought that was just like a throwaway joke in that one.
Well, because does damage control show up in Hawkeye as well, right? Am I imagining that?
If it has, it hasn't as far as I am yet.
Yeah, same here. I'm at 0 though.
I don't know. I don't remember that because I would have been like giddy. So unless I missed it,
maybe I'm wrong. Oh well, and then there's the. It's just kind of a callback, but the meme, something of the scientist.
No, the scientist myself. I was saying that line exactly with
the whole theater freaking erupted. They thought that was hysterical.
Think of a scientist myself.
So, final thoughts and review ratings from each of you. And Mr. Pitboy 3000, welcome to the channel. Which is an awesome name. You're pretty much probably safe if you've not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, because we're just going to say final thoughts and the review score that each of us would give it. So you're probably safe to stick around.
My review is going to have all of the spoilers of the old one.
You're just going to recap the entire podcast.
Everything we just said. Yeah.
Add another hour runtime to the stream.
I mean, I thought it was awesome that Emma Stone showed up as Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, I mean, who would have saw that coming?
Not me. I was very happy to see that. And
I just can't believe they brought Gwenpool in. That would have been, and Ryan Reynolds played her. That's crazy.
What a stroke of genius.
He's got much more range than I ever gave him credit for.
And dude, how did they pull off Meryl Streep as Madam Web?
Okay, so final thoughts and reviews for the movie. Seriously. Let's start with you, Dave.
I mean, I have to say it was, worth risking, plague to go see this in the theater. I have to give it a 10. I mean, I just, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. It was a great first movie back in the theater because I haven't been in a while, and it hit so many notes. There was ups, there was downs, there was laughs, there was cry. I mean, if you got a movie that's making me, well up a few times during the movie and just like, wanting to squee, when things happen on screen, it's a good time. That's a 10 out of 10.
Joe, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I mean, it's such a weird roller. So like, if you go like we were talking about on Friday, with the Matrix, like how everyone's like, oh, Matrix 1's awesome and 2 and 3 okay, but they're awesome if you watch all 3 of them together and blah blah blah. Well, they're better.
They're better. They get more flack than they deserve.
I agree.
If you skip through the stupid humans,
the human rave, the rave, cave rave thing. Yeah.
I like the cave rave.
15 minutes later.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, it's great. There's the hole. There's squids.
Yeah, we're gonna die. Yeah. But with this movie, when you put all 3 of them together, they're kind of their own entity. I don't know that I don't know that watching them back to back to back would make this one any better. It was really, really good. I mean, it did its own thing. It solved a lot of problems that the old movies get a lot of flack for these days. I'm with you, Dave. I mean, I think the old, all of them. I went back and when the first Spider-Man movie came back out, we went back and we watched all the old Spider-Man movies, and they're not bad. None of them are bad. I mean, even what was it? The last one where they tried to, put all with Rhino and everything like that. It's not a horrible movie. I mean, they're all just popcorny movies or whatever, but to go in and grab all these characters, and give them like the legit button up that they all needed and deserved, masterclass. I mean, it's really, these guys, I know we're like 15 years into these Marvel movies now, and it's just like everyone thinks they just pump these things out, but I mean, to put out a 3-hour movie that makes you laugh and cry, has the first 5 minutes of the movie being a thirst trap for all the guys and gals that like to see Tom Holland in his underwear. I mean, it's got everything. It really does. So I mean, I hesitate to ever give a perfect score out, and so but I'm gonna say like a 9.5 on it for sure. I mean, it's good quality. It's a good quality movie. It's one of the better Marvel movies out there. I mean, Endgame's still my like number 1, but this is like a really close number 2.
So I'm gonna go next and let Matt have the final word. I would say from beginning to end, they could have screwed this movie up so badly.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have. It's exactly what Joe said earlier. You have so many characters in the movie, and yet there is enough time in the movie that it breathes and everyone has their moment, and the pacing is exactly what it needs to be at every point. You get enough action, and then Doctor Strange is gone for an hour, and you don't miss him. It's not, it's just like everybody has exactly the right amount of stuff to do. And that's a testament to the writing and the directing. And from a audience standpoint of seeing a movie in a movie theater, this probably ranks number 3 on my list, with Infinity War and Endgame being number 1 and 2. And this is number 3. So I would, without hesitation, give this a 10. Does it require you to see a bunch of other movies? Yes, but exactly what Joe was saying, this is the epilogue to all 8 of those other movies. And it is the one, it lets you catch up with them, it lets them heal, and you find out what's been going on to him. So I think it's fantastic. X Game Wax, thank you for the follow. You're a rock star. Matt, I gave it a 10. By the way, if I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did it. Okay. Yeah. This movie, I was worried about this movie because the same thing you said, every time we've gone beyond the intimate one-on-one or one-on-1.5 type villains setup, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, things start to fall apart, right? You're right. Joe's right. I mean, none of them are terrible movies. The closest is Spider-Man 3. And that's really just like 2 scenes that are really bad, that really drag the rest of it down.
It clearly wasn't his fault. Like you could tell the movie he wanted to make and the movie they forced him to make.
Right. We're not the same thing. Right. And so there's definitely redeemable things. And the thing that this did with bringing all that stuff together, I guess we're still doing spoilers, is it took like I think Mark or somebody said, they took what everyone did well in those movies and made that shine. It polished that element that they brought to, Defoe's creepiness, Electro basically being the powerhouse of the group, right? I mean, it just took all of those things that was the best aspect of all those characters, be they villains or heroes, and made them shine. And this was the Homecoming or the Home trilogy's endgame, right? I mean, yeah, did it require you to know more than you would have to know just going into any other movie to fully get it and fully appreciate it? Yeah, it did. But if you knew all that, if you'd been there for the ride, if you'd been following along, this is an amazing movie. We didn't even talk about the dynamic between Holland and Zendaya, which I thought was perfectly fine in the previous movie, but this just now ratcheted it up a whole nother level. It was great. Ned has always been great, being there, just doing his thing, but
they kept the Lego set in all movies.
Kept the Lego set. Yeah. The Lego was still there. The Star Wars Death Star Lego was still there. Little touches like, when Peter's unpacking the box at the end, he's got the GED book in there because, we don't, for some reason, some parts of it exist, some parts don't, but and I mean, everybody, no matter what their level of knowledge in my group that went to go see it, they got the highs, they got the lows, they got the feels, right? I mean, it really captured the entire group, regardless of their experience level with this stuff. And I mean, one of the people was emotionally exhausted at the end of that movie. Like, she was ready to take a nap. She was just exhausted.
Oh, I was going to ask if it was
ride.
you.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious at this point. I did debate not giving it a 10, but I really can't justify it, right? There's a couple of nitpicks. There's a couple of things here and there, but I can't not. I mean, this is in terms of, as a fan of the Spider characters and of the Spider-Man universe, it doesn't, I don't know. At this point, I don't think it gets any better than this, right? I mean, we know there's more movies on the way. We saw the classic at the end there, so I'm interested to see where that goes. I always did wonder what happened to Karen. Isn't that what he named the AI in the first one? She just disappeared. But anyway,
Oh, but that was not connected. You couldn't connect it. I knew they were getting rid of the suit from the beginning of the movie because network was offline. So Karen wasn't available.
Yeah, they explained that.
But she wasn't in the second one either, right? I mean, she after Homecoming, she's been completely gone.
Well, that's because he had the glasses, so he didn't need Karen anymore.
Anyway, whatever. But so it's a 10 for me. I do know of at least one person that was not a fan of the movie. I tried to get them to give me some points so I could at least have some idea of what the counterpoints to it are, aside from just general
grumpiness,
superhero movie fatigue, and generally just wanting everything to be different than what it is. But I didn't get there wasn't enough time to get notes together and stuff. So,
and for Daniel, who was not able to be here, he says that it's possibly his favorite Marvel movie of all time.
Yeah,
definitely up there.
It's up there.
So,
but yeah, anyway, I rambled long enough, but
what did you think? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, if you like what you've, the discussion that we've been having, you can get more of it. How? If you're on Twitch, just click that follow button, just like X Game Wax did and Marcus Devil May Cry did, and you'll unlock exclusive emotes just for following. Of course, if you're able to, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to become one of our rock stars and unlock even more emotes, as well as bit emotes available. On YouTube, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and of course the bell icon. to be notified whenever we upload new content, which is almost every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. And no matter where you're watching from, patreon.com/gamersledge. Get your name on every single show that we do as a producer for as little as $1 a month, just like the fine folks that are on your screen right now that you can see. And we appreciate them. We appreciate you for joining us. And of course, until next time, we will have another Spoilercast eventually for The Matrix, because I'm sure we're all watching that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
probably check it out.
Yep.
Oh,
you guys.
One last thing. Love the special effect on getting the classic Electro mask into it.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody brought that up, and I was like, that deserves to have it.
And only one dubstep note. His very first blast did a whomp, and after that, nothing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But yeah, until next time, thanks for watching, everybody. Be excellent to each other, and game on.
Game on.
Spider-Man on.
Twip on.
Football.